Hello everyone and welcome to another Antares Shipyards live stream here. Tonight we're doing something a little different. This is the excuse me. This is the inaugural episode for the Captain's Table. It's definitely something a little bit different than the normal content we put out here on the channel. But hopefully this will stick and stay around for a while. Basically the concept is I have a co-host with me and a guest host. So there are three people that are sitting around this table here, and we're basically going to talk and discuss some Attack Wing topics. Excuse me. Um, the major topic today is we've got a couple of releases here, and as a group, we kind of have chosen to take a deep dive into the Blood Oath card packs, or not the card pack, the faction pack, the cards that came in the faction pack. So this is not going to be an unboxing, as those have already been done by other parties on YouTube, and I don't want to fall into that mold of being an unboxing. Instead, what we want to focus on is actually looking at the cards that come in the faction packs and seeing what cards that exist in the game already pair well with the cards that we're getting. I apologize for that. Now, my guests, we all have different levels of play, I would say. We have somebody who played super competitively. Myself, I consider myself kind of middle ground. I do like to play competitive, but I'm not 100% competitive. And then I have a guest, and the guest is he likes to be competitive. He likes to play to win, but he also likes to play to play. So we're gonna have three different kind of points of views on these cards. Hopefully, we can find a combo that maybe you didn't think of, or just something to get the gears running with these cards, because not everything has to be doom and gloom when these packs come out. And I think it's important that we look at the cards and we talk about the cards, because there are some good things here. I believe these packs are very balanced against one another, but I think there's a good reason for that, and we'll probably get into it. Man, I apologize for that. I'm not trying to cough in your guys' ear. I thought I hit mute on my mic. So, without further ado, let me bring in our guest host. I will introduce them. All right, gentlemen, the intro is done, so let me introduce the guest host for the captain's table here. We got both of them hailing from the world of academia, really. Everybody knows him from the shipyard. We got David Montgomery with us, and then we also have from the Fremont Reformation Project and the Grand Rapids Play Group, Dan Ward. Hello, gentlemen.
Hi, Jerry.
How are you guys doing?
I'm doing great.
I'm doing well. Happy to be here.
Awesome. You guys ready and excited to talk about some cards and combos and all the good stuff that comes with it?
Yeah, excited to dive in and kind of get back to some roots of finding new, interesting ways to use these things.
Absolutely. Let's scale this up a little more. There we go. Okay, so I explained the premise of what we're doing here. So this is not an unboxing. We are actually looking and we're going to talk about the cards and the card text. As I said in the intro, I don't believe everything is as doom and gloom as some other unboxings have shown. I don't think anything's overpowered. I think every card deserves a good look at before we just make those decisions. I do believe that, given WizKids' history, there is something coming down the line, and I know, David, you and I have talked about it kind of. especially with everything all of a sudden getting set numbers and set icons down there in the lower right hand corner. Um, just something that WizKids has done with their other games that they have, I believe, is coming down the pipeline. If you
Yeah.
guys have played the other games, you know what I'm kind of alluding to. That's a discussion for another day. Um, the other
It is.
thing, the other thing I do want to mention to the guys that are watching in the chat, please feel free to send any questions or anything you want into the chat box. I'm actively watching it, and we will definitely bring it up. If you see any combos that we're not talking about that you think is interesting, or if there's something you got a question about a card, please put it in the chat. Okay, you guys ready to get into the first card?
Ready.
Yes.
All right, so we'll start with card number 1 from the pack, which is the IKS Devul. Now, the interesting story behind the name, from what I've got from Steven, Steven Vandevender, part of the WizKids, I guess, playtest team. He's been doing a lot of the unboxings on YouTube too. Interesting story about the name is that it's not actually referenced in Alpha Canon, but it is a reference to Star Trek Online and some of the class of Klingon ships that they have there. So just a nice little side note on that. It is a Negvar class. When attacking, if the ship is cloaked, disable a Klingon crew upgrade equipped to this ship. Do not flip this ship's cloak token to its red side and place a battle station token beside this ship. It's got tech, weapon, and 3 crew slots, coming in at a reduction down from, I believe it was 32, down to 28. So definitely a good improvement there. How about we throw it over to David, and we'll let you start.
All right. I think it was 30, but either way, still a nice reduction. So we have this notion: A, we want to be cloaked.
Yep.
And B, we have 3 crew slots, and we're gonna disable crew to really keep that involved. Well, there's some nice Klingon crew that are fairly cheap. I'm looking at Koth, the mirror Klingon crew. He does his stuff in setup. So he's kind of like a Gen Cisco. Once he does his stuff, now he can be discarded, disabled, whatever you want, and he's just done. We also want to make use of that battle station once we have it. So why not put on a crew like Worf? Convert your blanks to hits, and now you got a battle station there to clean up the rest of the mess.
Yeah.
It's a nice combo. You can throw a nice weapon on there, any kind of tech. I haven't really thought through the rest of that. And for a cheap crew, why not put something like Grilka on there to prevent some of those Ferengi shenanigans with Gold Press Latinum, or at least make them more expensive?
That's a good point.
And if your opponent doesn't bring those, she's only 1 point, and she's a nice second use of this ability without having to use an action.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're right. The IKS Negvar is 30 points. The Regent's flagship is 32. But that does not get the reduction. Well, the generic Mirror Universe won't get the reduction because they have a different stat line, I believe.
Yeah, I think they get a force shield.
Yeah. Dan, do you have any interesting combos?
Well, obviously, MRS. We
Yes.
talked about that privately, but when you put that battle station token down, you can remove a disabled token from a crew. I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah, that's where I first went with it when I saw the ship reveal. Was this ship is ripe for MRES. Granted, you're going to get the faction penalty, but she's going to re-enable whatever crew pretty much immediately. So you could really fill that Klingon crew slot with anybody.
Yeah.
The Captain Worf in this set is also a good option instead of using the crew Worf, because you spend a battle station and he turns everything. pretty much perfect. Oh, the war not from this set, the Federation set.
What do you guys think about Koloth as a captain? Koloth 7. When attacking, place 2 time tokens on the card, and then the defending player must disable a captain or a crew upgrade equipped to the defending ship.
That could work. Yeah, that could work. I think there's definitely a card in the Federation Faction Pack that could make that a little more interesting. At least I think she works. Yeah. But we'll get to Boldly Go in the future here. But yeah, I think David's on the right path, and I think Dan has a good point with MRES. Bringing MRES on board would definitely set the ship up for continuous cloak, and battle stations pretty much every round or every turn. Really, when attacking, so you're going to get that battle station at the start of the attack, or the start of the combat phase. No, when you start attacking.
Yeah. So you could do something. I'd put maybe Captain Lursa, the one that gives you the free sensor echo. Worf, Emrys, Koth on this, and have fun.
Yeah.
It's a little pricey, but still should fit under 50.
Yeah, I can definitely see this definitely being a staple for a Klingon fleet. I think the 90-degree arc hurts it, but it's a bigger ship, so it's going to have that arc. No rear firing arc, but you could throw on
Disruptor cannon.
there's no rear arc, so I don't think disruptor
That's the
cannon
rear
works.
arc, yeah.
But you got the Alliance dorsal phaser array that's not faction locked. You could throw on there for just a three dice attack if you really wanted to. If you're worried about somebody getting behind you. Because I don't think... Let me pull the movement card here. I mean, it's got to come about in 2 white turns. So it's not as tanky as the Galaxy, but I think movement's definitely an issue for the Negvar. That's really the only issue I see. I don't think it's going to stop me from playing it.
No, you could also have a friendly ship with Admiral Forrest.
True.
Because you're not using your action, and you've already got near perfect quality.
That's true.
So,
all right, let's go ahead and move over to the next card. Oh. So the next card is just okay. There we go. Next card is just the generic Negvar class. Point reduction is obviously the biggest thing here, down to 24. I think it's really the biggest thing to note. A point reduction puts it in line with, I believe the Vorn is 24 points, and that's a ship that I like to run. I don't know, do you guys have any thoughts on just the generic Negvar?
I think it can see some play in missions.
Okay, yeah.
But I don't think it's like the greatest thing ever, because of what you were saying about movement limitations, arc limitations. You do have to keep those things in mind. But at 24 points, it's a nice baseline for a mission ship.
Yeah. It will definitely work well with one of the missions that come in this pack, I think. Which I don't have copies of in TTS yet, but they have a copy. I think they did this before, but they came out with this one. This is like both players are Klingons attacking DS9, but it's from the episode Way of the Warrior.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's like both players are. Yeah, players get 100 SP. All ships must be Klingon and Klingon only cards. And you attack a stationary Deep Space Nine, and it says it's got infinite hull and 20 shields. So, good luck. But yeah, I think that's probably a good use for that. It's definitely mission play. I don't really see it being a candidate for a swarm or a support ship.
No.
By any means. Okay. So let's move on to card number 3, which is the IKS Kantanko. So, it is a Katinga class, 4143. It says, you may equip a Klingon tech upgrade with a printed cost of 4 SP or less to this ship for free, even if it exceeds this ship's restrictions. 2 weapon slots, 2 crew slots, at 21 points. Again, the point reduction is nice. I don't remember what the generics were for them. Not off the top of my head anyway. Let's do this. Okay. Talking about the card ability, the equipping a Klingon tech for free with a cost of 4. This card's a little harder. It's a little harder to work with, but I do think there are some techs that you want to take. The only one that really comes to mind for me is Klingon cloaking device. I think that's 3 or 2 SP itself. But free is free, and that'll at least give you some kind of quality on defense. And then, if you needed to, you can stay cloaked. How about you, Dan? Did you find anything interesting about this card?
I had a hard time with this card. Really, I probably wouldn't play it very often, but I was looking at maybe dispersive armor.
Okay.
Where you can force them to have their weapon value set at 4, and they don't get to replace or modify it.
Yeah, that's an interesting card. I looked at it. I've never played with it, so I'm not 100% familiar with the card interaction for that, and it sounds messy, but that's okay.
That's at least a good option to say, all right, you are shooting me with 4 dice and only 4 dice, period.
Yeah.
So I went into Utopia and said, okay, Klingon tech 4 or less cost, and just tried to read and go, what even works? Well, I came up with auxiliary power to shields, and this is, you would probably never play it except for the fact that it's free. And it says, when defending during the deal damage step, you may discard this card to immediately repair up to 2 of your shields that were destroyed with that attack. Place an Aux Power token beside your ship for each shield token you repaired with this ability. I know there's other things in this pack that utilize auxiliary power tokens.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little synergy there. And this is essentially getting back to shields for free. Is that the best? Probably not, but maybe it's the start of something.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what we're going for here is, hey, we're finding something for each card.
Yeah. Yep, that's what we're doing here. But I really, this card was, I like the ability. I just wish the Klingons had more tech that was of use. Because, we're talking Klingons. One of the first things people are going to think of is projected stasis field. And that, unfortunately, is 5 points. So, I mean, I think the wording or the ability just misses the mark for me, but just a tiny bit. I'm not saying it's a bad card, because I don't believe there is such a thing. Not at least not in my mind. But I think they could have gone just a little further with it. And maybe that was a playtesting. Maybe they did playtest it at 5, and they found it was too powerful, so they brought it back down. I'm not sure. I just don't think there's enough Klingon tech to really warrant me trying to play this ship outside of a mission, really.
And maybe this is another one of wait 2 years, it'll be better.
Yeah, I mean,
But I have a love-hate with those kinds of things because I'm still waiting for that data core from the Hirogen card pack to be of use.
yeah. Um, I don't really know what to make of that card when I saw it, but yeah,
Nope.
I agree. Dan, do you have anything else to add for this ship?
No.
No.
This one was difficult for me.
Yeah, I hear you. All right, so with that, we will move on. In chat, if you guys have a good Klingon tech that you think would be good to hide under this, please let me know. I do think there is a question out there about maybe hiding a dual faction card under this. I don't know if there's any dual faction tech.
Well, Klingon cloaking device is Klingon mirror.
That's right.
It should work. It is Klingon.
Yeah, I mean, in my mind, it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll just say it works, and I'm not gonna poke WizKids to figure that one out.
No.
As long as everyone says it works, it works.
It works.
All right, so let's move over to the generic for the Katingas. There we go, card number 4. So we do get 2 generic Katingas in this pack, and they both have different slot loadouts, but both slot loadouts are already in the game. So really, what we're getting here is an updated point cost for the Katinga. So we're sitting at 4-1, 4-2, so we lose the shield, and we're losing a crew slot with this one. So we got 2 weapons and a crew. I think the point reduction is great. There are better Klingon ships that I'm going to pick to swarm. But other than that, it's an okay point cost. I mean, I think the Keldons probably beat it out on their point costing, even though they're, I think, 16, 17 themselves. But I think they're just a little bit better. Has anybody got anything to add to that?
I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm with David.
Okay. All right, so with that, let's move on to the next one. Because really, the generics aren't really what people are here to see. So we've got the IKS. It's Takag, or Takoji, depends on however you want to say it. Let's throw these off to the side there. Okay, so we got a 4-1-4-3 Katinga class, free action. Those are good words. Free action. Perform a cloak action even if the ship isn't cloaked. Did I say cloaked? Perform a sensor action if the ship isn't cloaked. If the ship is cloaked, you may use a 3 straight maneuver template for this action. So, I do like this ability. I think it's the better ability of the 2 Katingas. You're getting to perform a sensor echo action outside of being cloaked. You know, it's not, for this ship, you don't have to be cloaked to use the action. Even if you are cloaked, you just get that much more room to sensor echo. There is one card that I find wants to be on this ship, and I want to see if you guys can guess it off my head here. But we'll go with David, and we'll start with him.
Well, I have a captain in mind,
Uh-huh.
uh, and it's one. If I named him, I'd get thrown out of the Klingon Empire.
Mm. Yeah, I think we're on the same track.
All right. So it's Captain Larus
Yes.
from the
Mhm.
Romulan, well, from the animated pack, but the Romulan Captain Larus. Larus? I don't know.
Laris, I think, yeah. If I remember from that episode, I think it's
But
Laris.
yeah, he gets you battle stations when you do a sensor echo action.
Yes.
It's a match made in heaven here. Or maybe it's a match made in Stovacor. One of the two. It doesn't matter. Anyways, it's a match made for Star Trek Attack Wing because this is get more free stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And free stuff is good.
There we go. There's Laris. Yeah, and I like that Laris, he's not predicated on the ship being cloaked either. Just as long as it does a sensor echo action, you're going to get that battle station plus 1 attack die. That's exactly the minute I read when I sat down to look at the cards last night to find these combos, I said, well, there's really one captain here. The other captain I had in mind is Chang. And that's really 2 sensor echo and then sensor echo again. But Laris is definitely the number 1 captain I would have to put on the ship if I were to run this ship. How about for you, Dan?
You guys. Well, Loris, I came up with that one as well, but I'm thinking as a crew, Lescat, because then you get to perform another sensor echo action as a free action if you do a red maneuver. And you get to treat that as green. And I like the maneuverability. I think that could cause headaches for somebody.
Yeah. Let's get. I mean, there's Sinon. There's Sinon who also increases your template that you can use to sensor echo with. Whoops. Get those out of there. So here's Lescat.
Then you never have to cloak.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I definitely think that this is probably the better of the 2 Katingas in talking card text wise. I don't know if it'll see super competitive play. Of course, I'm not the super competitive player out of the 3 of us. I haven't been in that meta that long to really know. I definitely I can see a spot for it though. It can be a niche.
I'm not sure if it hits like the top crust of it, but I think there's a fringe playable aspect to it.
I see it as a harassing type of ship.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I can see it. I see this being played by really good people when we get missions, the OP scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Then this definitely has a role because if you have to go to a certain target, this is a nice way to get in there and mess around with everything. And like you're straight up, okay, I kill you, you kill me. We don't have to do anything else. I don't know that it's quite there yet.
Yeah, I'm thinking that people are going to love the sensor echo action not being cloaked.
Oh yeah.
And then even when you are cloaked, you just get to move that much further because as a player, I do fly a Klingon ship and I am cloaked. At least I tend to be cloaked for most of the game. And I try to sensor echo my way either out of arc or into a better firing position for my own ship. That's just one of my go-tos. So, I mean, the ship definitely speaks to me. I wouldn't expect it, like, for the Fremont group, I wouldn't expect to see it being run in the TOS division, or that top-tier division.
No.
Maybe DS9 lower decks. Maybe fringe TNG, depending on the player. but yeah, I wouldn't expect to see it way up in the top competitive group.
I do think this is a ship that you will have to practice with to really know when you want those 3 echoes and when you want to just stick to the 1-2s, because that's a learning curve too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, definitely trying to get that to visualize moving sideways like that. Because three is a long way from where you were. I mean, 1 or 2. I'm fair. Speaking as the player who plays sensor echoes a lot, 1, 2 I can visualize, but that's because I've done it over and over again, like you said. Throwing a 3 in there might throw me off a little.
Yeah, if you're not good at maneuvering, this could be difficult for you.
Yeah, but definitely, play it and get used to it. I think it'd be interesting to see it in a fleet that is designed to move. So like this, I think the D7 Romulan Talon, where you can bank, and then you can sensor echo if you're cloaked off of that. Or the Saran from the Romulans, Thomas Riker. I definitely think it's built for a fleet that's going to be moving. You know, they're not going to be in the same spot they were a minute ago. They're going to be moving all over the place.
We'll call it the "now you see me, now you don't" fleet.
Ooh, like it.
By the way, dibs. You can call it something else, or you can credit me on it, but you can't name it and not credit me on it.
You got it. All right, so let's get the next card out, which is going to be the generic for this one. Not much else to say about the generic. Drop down to 16 points. This is the Tech Weapon Crew version of the generic card. Let's get on to the Koskari. So here we go. We've got a Burrell class, Klingon Independent Faction, IKS Koskari, 4133, coming in at 16 points, 2 weapon slots, 2 crew slots. When attacking a ship with a hull value of 4 or greater, steal a scan token, a battle station token, or an evade token from beside the defending ship and place it beside this ship. When attacking a Klingon ship or a ship with a Klingon captain equipped to it, add 1 hit. Okay, so there's 2 different abilities with this ship. I'll be interested to see. But did you find anything, Dan?
I was struggling with this one as well. I like the idea of being able to steal tokens, and I like that it's not a range restricted ability where you have to be up close and personal.
Yeah.
So I like it. I just haven't figured out what I'd like to do with it. Is it a first strike type of ship? Is it a cleanup after you do some attacks? Is it a cleanup type of thing? That's where I'm at with that.
Okay. I do feel if it's going to have a captain skill, it's whatever captain you equip to it, it's going to have to be attacking first or near the top. That way you can take advantage of stealing a token. How about you, Dave?
2 things came to mind. The first was get cloaked mines in your fleet so that there's a chance that a ship is taking the scan action. Now that's rare, but it's at least an option. The second, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I want to say there's a Borg, either ship or one of the Borg queens that will steal tokens as well. And so having both of those in a fleet, I mean, you're doubling down on the risk. But the challenge for me, it seems like this game is moving away from tokens and into card abilities that do things.
Yeah,
so
I can see that.
I like the second part of the ability a lot. In fact, I kind of like this ship without having to do much to it. Just a nice passive ability. If there's a Klingon ship or a ship with a Klingon captain, just you get an extra hit.
Yeah,
Great. So sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't.
And I mean, let's be honest. There is a couple of Klingon captains that are, I mean, they're fairly strong in the meta right now. They're fairly prevalent. Reroll core comes to mind. You know, old core, as a lot of people have nicknamed it, or young core, sorry, as people have named him.
Tune core.
Tune cores, he's getting popular. But either way, they're all Klingon captains, so let's add a hit right there.
Yeah, the Kelvin verse Klingon ships are good ships, and hey, those are Klingon ships.
That's true too. I mean, talk about people running Burrell swarms. I mean, here you go. You got a ship that's at least adding one for those Klingon ships. I definitely think that this ship pairs well with the albino, and I think that was the intention, given that this whole pack is based around pretty much the Blood Oath episode. And this is supposed to be his ship, even though technically on screen he never had a ship. So, but I think this pairs well with him, and we'll definitely get to him here in a minute, because I believe this is the last Burrell. And I know a lot of people, when they saw this ship, they were up in arms because this is a Klingon independent, and we technically have a Klingon independent. But, you know, with the Klingon, with Lurin's Bird of Prey bringing in the Klingon Ferengi, with the Ferengi being folded into the independent, I wouldn't be surprised to maybe see WizKids pull the Ferengi out of that situation. Because I think with the Ferengi Faction Pack, it kind of boosted the Ferengi higher than the rest of the independent factions. I wouldn't be surprised if and when they do some kind of update like that, that's something they look at. Which then,
here's hoping.
Yeah. But yeah, I struggled to find a good combo for this card, but I think the use here is definitely going to be a deterrent against other Klingon ships or Klingon captains that you know are coming to the tournament or wherever you're playing.
How do you guys feel about putting Goran Ale on this?
I feel good about it.
getting those two extra attack dice.
No, I feel like that's a solid strategy, actually. There is a build, and we'll talk about it, because it's a build that I've been working on when I saw it, but we'll definitely get there because it's the elite talent that's in this pack that makes this build work. So we'll get there. We'll touch on that, but I think Maridorn Goran Ale is definitely an option for the ship and integral to that build. Okay, let's move on to the next ship here, which is the generic Klingon Independent Burrell class 4132 weapon crew. I don't think that this upgrade bar was in the game yet, but we've already had the recosting of the Burrell class down to 13. There's really nothing much else to say here. People are going to swarm with this Burrell class, and it's something that the Fremont group was fairly good at trying to cap, but I think we're getting away from that there as well. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this ship among those Klingon Ferengi ships. You guys have anything to add on to that?
No, it's a solid swarm ship. Love it or hate it, it's there.
Right.
So it lets you do a lot with a little.
Yeah. Okay, so I believe that is it for the ships. So we are now moving into captain territory. And the first captain on the list is Koloth. So, we got Koloth. When an opposing ship within range performs a maneuver, range 1 to 2, place 2 time tokens on this card and perform a maneuver on the ship's dial with a speed of 2. He has a skill 7 with an elite talent slot, cost 4 points. So let's... I'm going to throw it over to you, David. I'm going to take a second to read the card again in my head.
Okay. This is one that, I mean, okay, it fits into the now you see me, now you don't fleet. All those things we were talking about with extra movement, it just works. So you want to do 2 straight, 2 bank, 2 turn, got it. If your ship happened to have a 2 come about, this would work. In fact, that might be where Koloth is the best, is on those. I'm not even sure what ship that can have a captain has a 2 come about, but I know there's at least one out there. I want to think the NX has it, but my memory could be failing me.
Yeah. What ship did you say?
I want to say it's the NX, the Enterprise NX.
Yeah.
Has it 2 come about? It does.
Yep.
Now, I'm not saying that's where Koloth is the best, but it's in terms of maneuverability, that's a pretty sweet option.
Yeah. I think you're right. I think he goes on a ship that's going to be like you said. He fits into that fleet mold of just move around the board, and maybe you get into range, or maybe you get out of range with somebody. You get out of arc, get into arc. Either way, I definitely think he fits into that mold. How about you, Dan? Did you find anything interesting with this card?
I was thinking what David was talking about with the cogs, but I also think we need to couple this with any card that will reduce the number of time tokens that you place on a card. And that way you can continue to do this every turn if you need to.
Oh, that's true. That is true. I think... let me... Because I don't have... Let me just pull her. Because I plan on going over... I plan on going over the Federation stuff in a later episode, but... Well, at least I can at least take a look and see if she works. Yeah.
While you do, I think there's one other thing that would help. I think Koloth is better if his skill is lowered so that he moves first and then can activate his ability off of captains that would move after him so that you can react with that adjustment move to what other people are doing. So even throwing on something like Admiral Q to drop a captain skill by 1, that can make a big difference because there's a ton of skill 6 captains. Skill 7 starting to look a little more specialized.
Or Gorn Ale.
That can work too.
Yeah, that'll definitely work.
Yeah.
I think David's onto something with that. I will say, in a competitive space, we're looking at people who are running skill, the higher skilled captains already, higher than 7. Because I keep running, and it's just the way that I build. I keep running captain skills that are 7 or 8s, and I'm finding that it's not quite enough. The higher I climb up the rungs there, because everyone's running skill 9 captains with a skill booster on top of it. So in some sense, Koloth could still do that at skill 7. But I think you're right. I think the lower his skill goes, the more he benefits. I do think there's a correlation there. Okay, so, and just to clarify, Ezri does work with this card. So it would place 1 fewer time token on it. So really, he'd be able to do this every turn if he needed to. Alright, so the next captain on the list We're talking the albino. And his text is very, very small. But he's got 3 separate abilities going on here. Skill 7, Elite Talent Holder, Klingon Independent, 4 points. When attacking a Klingon ship or a ship with a Klingon captain equipped, roll +1 attack die. When attacking, once per game, once per game, if this attack hits, discard 1 crew upgrade equipped to the defending ship. Activation phase. Once per game, this ship may activate last. Okay, so there's a lot to digest with the albino, I think. The activating last is interesting. I think it runs into some issues. I think there aren't other cards. You can correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but I think there are other cards that also do that. So I think it's going to come up to initiative on that one. Really, whoever has initiative is going to be that one who activates last truly. So I don't see why you would use that ability outside of your initiative. When attacking, discard a card. So he's got a ganking ability, which to me screams, he killed the firstborn son of each of the Dahar Masters, so that's kind of what that does. And then I think the first ability is the one that I like the best, and that's so it could pair with the Kaskari. But yeah, what did you think of this card, Dan?
I found it very situational. And in my own experience, when I try to run cards that are very situational, I usually get burned by doing that. I hardly ever find that I'm able to do what the card says it can do. I like the +1 attack die, but for the other two, I just thought it was too situational for me. Maybe you guys can help me see where it would be more universal, but they're both discards, right? Or once per game, so very situational.
Yeah, I agree with that. I like the roll +1 attack die, but the other 2 abilities are very, as you said, situational. For the captain skill, I don't know if it's really going to matter. How about you, Dave? What did you think of this card?
So the first thing that sprung to mind with the if it hits discard a crew is put on Elam Garrick the 1-point crew that says 1 attack die, or maybe it's 1 hit, cannot be canceled.
Oh.
When you share a faction of the ship, or I forget the exact wording, but
no,
there's some
that's
sharing of factions and stuff. But that gives a little combo in there to at least hopefully let him sneak an attack die through, and that way you can discard a crew early.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think you're right with Elam's text. I'm working on getting the card pulled from the pack now.
Yeah. When attacking, if the defending ship shares a faction with this ship or this card, 1 hit or 1 crit cannot be canceled.
Yeah. I mean, and honestly, who's not running captured? If we're talking straight up competitive play, who's not running captured or Calvin Hudson?
Yeah. So now that lets you get in to, well, if you put this on your Klingon independent ship, you've got Klingon independent and Dominion covered.
Yeah.
So, okay, you're fed pure, I guess. But so I'm not going to say it's perfect, but it's a nice combo there to hopefully sneak something through.
Yeah. I can see where that's a good combo. I didn't even think of that.
And it's 1 point. 1 extra point for a risk there. Yeah, Garrick's that card I find myself going to a little more frequently just because I want to do something
Yeah, yeah. And I think it was season 1 of the Fremont Reformation League. Jed Jed Ironheart actually had Elam Garrick in his fleet in the TNG division, and it actually did its job fairly well. He had him on a Federation ship. I think it was the Sutherland. Um, but yeah, he did his job very well because he was able to get that one hit or that pick that one crit really, and that one crit can't be canceled. So yeah, that's an interesting combo. I like that. I can see the albino going into kind of like on the Kaskari, maybe with second and 5, to pull another crew off as an action, and then try and hit them and pull another crew if somebody's running a crew heavy build. Um, I don't know really how competitive you're going to find those builds, but they're there.
That it is there, and I believe second of 5 doesn't even have to target crew.
No, it doesn't. No, you're right.
Yeah, just an upgrade. So I think you're going to find most ships are going to have an upgrade, and that rolls into his last ability to activate last. You can say, hey, I'm going to activate last, go in, pull something out, and get stuff used.
Yeah, because I mean, you're often seeing these competitive fleets that, one of the things you're looking at doing is pulling that linchpin. Once you pull that linchpin, the fleet falls apart. At least I'm finding that a lot.
Right.
So if you can find that one crew, like you pull Cloaking Wharf off the Vorn for me, I'm all of a sudden I can't convert blanks into hits, and I'm stuck trying to re-roll my blanks, and I don't want to re-roll my blanks. I'm trying to re-roll my battle stations.
Yeah.
Things like that. If you're familiar with my build. But yeah, I guess I'm sold in the albino. I think he's got a place. I don't know if he's super competitive, but I think he's got a place in a fleet flavor towards ganking of everything. All right, let's move on. We will get to one of the highly requested captains that we finally get in this pack. Kang. 7 skill, elite talent slot holder, 4 points. Start of the game. Target a captain equipped to an opposing ship. When attacking, during the modified attack dice step, if this target captain is equipped to the defending ship, discard this card and add 2 crit results. Okay. I know in the episode Blood Oath that Kang dies. Spoilers for those who haven't seen it. If you haven't seen the episode, I highly recommend giving it a watch. It's probably one of the best Deep Space Nine episodes from season 2. All the original actors from the original series came back to reprise their roles, so that was really cool. I don't know if I really like... I'm not one who wants to discard my captain all the time, though. So I don't know if I would personally play this to discard my captain to add 2 crits. I could see some people doing it. It could be a situational thing. I don't know, Dave. How do you feel about it?
I'm with you that sacrificing my captain is not high on my priority list in a game, but there is a moment where you can make that decision.
Oh,
It's if you can get a kill, and I've said it a lot of times, the best condition you can inflict on your opponent is dead.
yeah.
So yeah, maybe you have to tie a hand behind your back, but then they're dead. And you know what? I'll play with one hand behind my back if you're playing with one ship not on the board.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me.
It's a risk, it's big risk, but maybe you've come in with a ship, hit them with projected stasis field, and now you can take them out. And you get to wait. You get to make this decision at modify attack dice step. You already know what you've rolled. You don't know what they've rolled yet, but you can add 2 crits in. You can add other stuff in. If you've got like Kunivas, you can add another hit. There's lots you can do to keep piling on and maybe even one-shot them.
Interesting.
So it's a risk, but I mean, I think Kang might even be at the heart of an alpha strike.
Okay, yeah. I think I can see that. I can kind of visualize that. Still a little scared because they're discarding a captain, but I do see the situation where you would want to do that.
Oh yeah. Oh, don't get me wrong. It scares me. It is a bold strategy.
Well, history favors the bold.
Oh, true.
So I was seeing this as a late game strategy, but you're saying, David, it could be earlier in the game?
It could be an early game strategy. It could also be a last ditch effort of, well, I'm probably going to die the next time I get shot. I might as well lose my captain and do something good with it.
Okay. I hadn't thought of that because losing a captain is scary.
Yeah.
But there are some of those. There's a couple of crew upgrades. I know there's one in this pack later, but there's also a skill boost wharf that'll take over when your captain's discarded. And then you still got a captain at a decent skill level. But again, skill 7 something, maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe the difference between skill 1 and skill 7 is non-existent and you're already moving first and shooting last. And Kang has no effect other than this ability to discard himself and get 2 crits.
There's another card that I just thought of that exists. So it doesn't say remove him from the game, it just says discard. So that, reading that now makes me think of, try and get him pulled up here. Lenalis?
Okay.
So maybe you protect your captain from getting discarded. You discard Lenalis, and then you get a second Kang out of it.
Okay. I can be on board with that.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I didn't think of it till just now, which is great. That's the point of this show. That's but yeah,
I see a lot of opportunities with that combo.
Yeah. I think Kang with Lenalis could be a good combo, especially if somebody's running the Sutherland. If they're running a Sutherland shield adaptation combo, where it's pulling your primary weapon value down by 2, all of a sudden you can discard Lenalis to use Kang's ability to add 2 crit results to that attack roll. And on top of that, the Sutherland cannot cancel those crit results, because it can only cancel 1 hit result. So you're at least doing some kind of damage. And then you can do your skill boost wharf on. I think if you're going to run the Lenalis, you're going to have another crew. Whatever ship you put Kang on, it's going to have 2 crew slots, so you can run, say, your skill boost wharf, so you still have that 5 skill captain coming in. But really, you could get 4 hits in on a Sutherland doing that.
Do you guys think you need to boost captain skill to make this even more effective? Or do you think a 7 is fine?
If you're going to go with the bold alpha strike, I'm sacrificing Kang, and that's his job. You got to boost the skill.
Okay.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Dave's right on that. At least up. I mean, Worf is going to skill boost him, what, 3? Because he's a Klingon captain, so they'll put him up to 10.
And that's all you can do.
Yeah. Because Rule 3 is going to hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I do. I like that. I like throwing Lenalis in on that fleet. That's an idea I might play around with, to be honest.
It's going to be a long night tonight. After we're done here.
Yeah, right? I'm going to go right back to my binders. Good thing I have tomorrow off. Okay. Well, Dan, you're retired. You've got a lot of time. I know Dave's probably got... Dave's on the West Coast, so it's still early for him.
Yeah, tell that to my wife. Yeah.
All right, so let's get the next captain out here. And it is one that I was hoping... I understand why he's a captain. I was hoping we wouldn't see him as a captain. But it's okay. Oh, we got a question here. What if we added Klingon First Officer to... I'm assuming we're talking Kang and Lenalis. Let me pull Klingon First Officer here. Because I am not 100% familiar with the wording on that card. I do know it comes from the Klingon Faction Pack. Scaling up. Alright, Klingon First Officer. Once per game, discard the captain equipped to this ship. Perform an attack with his ship's primary weapon, and this card becomes captain skill 4. So, what do you guys think of pairing Kang with the Klingon First Officer?
I'm torn because I'm losing those 2 crit conversions. But I like getting the attack in the end phase. I feel like Klingon First Officer just works better with a different captain.
Well, would it work with, if we were, like I was talking about, where we have the 2 crew slots, whatever ship they're equipped to, and Lenalis is the one that gets discarded, and you've got the primary and the 2 crit results, and then Kang's still around.
That would work.
Hold on.
Yeah, I don't know if there's a ruling on it, because this card's supposed to become the captain.
Yeah, so the First Officer wouldn't take over because Kang was still there. You couldn't then do it again because it's a once per game.
Right.
And it wouldn't take over when Kang is then gone.
Right.
So you'd have to Kang on a, say, a normal attack in the attacking phase, combat phase. Then the next time, or in the end phase, after you use Lenalis, you could First Officer discard Kang. You wouldn't have those 2 crits, but you'd still get that second attack.
Yeah, so change the order of operations in my mind, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Got you. So that could work. That's definitely an option.
It works. I feel like it's just not as efficient as it could be.
Yeah. No. So really.
But again, it's a nice idea, and that's what we're here to do. We're here to explore those ideas and say, well, does that work?
Yeah. So we got another one. They don't. M. Dempsey 82 says they don't work together because Kang needs to discard himself, while the First Officer needs to discard the captain with his ability. Right. So what we're thinking is, let's do this. We have Kang, so we attack with Kang. We use Kang's ability, and we discard Lenalis the first turn. The second turn we come back. We can use Klingon Officer. We can use Klingon First Officer in the end phase to then discard Kang, and get a second primary weapon attack. You just wouldn't get the benefit of adding the 2 crit results.
Yeah.
Okay. So, all right, there we go. All right, so let's move on to the next captain again. Um, oh, that's true. That's true. Predator, I think it's 858. He says you wouldn't have to wait another turn though, since they happen in different phases.
Yeah.
That's also true.
Yeah, you can round 1 of combat, whatever turn that is, Kang, and then end phase of that same round. You're good.
Yep. So, all right, great. Let's pull the next captain out here. It is Core. Again, I wished, and Dave, you and I, we talked about it during our speculation video when we got the Q&A for the Klingon Faction Pack. Just because there are so many of them, we were hoping that Core was in the pack, but not as a captain. I understand.
Right.
I understand why he's a captain, and it's okay. So, Core, skill 7, elite talent slots, 4 points. You may equip the Darhar Master Elite upgrade to this card for 0 SP. Free action. Place an Ox power token beside this ship and target all friendly Klingon ships. Remove all red target lock tokens beside the target ships and place them beside this ship. So, the ability does remind me of his sacrifice in that episode where he was on I think it's the Rataran with Martok and Worf, and he takes over, I think it's the Ning Tao, and he turns around and goes and attacks all the Jem'Hadar ships, allowing Worf and Martok to escape. I'm not the biggest fan of the wording of this card, because there is a card that exists in the game, as it was pointed out in one of the unboxing videos, that does this better. But that's not what we're here to talk about. I'm gonna have to think on this a little bit longer for me. What did you think of the card, Dan?
I kind of liked it, to be honest. I see it working well with the cog.
Okay.
I think that maneuverability, and if you pair it with reactor pit to remove the auxiliary power token, and you put an admiral on with another elite talent, you get the Har Master and maybe something like Worthy Opponent or something else that kind of plays with people with that extra maneuverability we talked about earlier.
Yeah. As far as combos go, auxiliary power, auxiliary power core, I think that's a pretty good one to pair with this if you're going to use it to get rid of that aux. Dahar Masters, obviously, the combo. I find it interesting that Kang does not have the text of putting Dahar Master on for free. Well, I guess Koloth doesn't either, does he?
No.
Huh, maybe in my own mind I thought that up.
Yeah.
He is faction locked to a Klingon ship. So it's not like you're going to get core on an Oberth. Supersizing defense as much as possible. But
There's
yeah.
so much for those combos.
What do you think, Dave?
Well, him being faction locked kind of killed about half the combos, or most of the combos I had thought up here. Because boy, he'd be great on like the Avenger or the ISS Defiant. He goes okay on the Bemoth. You can perform a red maneuver while there is an auxiliary power token beside your ship. You're looking for passive abilities so that all of those aux power tokens don't actually slow you down. He'd even be okay on like Chang's Bird of Prey. That way you can have the torpedoes, the time token torpedoes. You keep your cloak. Again, I'm not gonna say this is my favorite captain, but think it's okay. I like being able to clear other ships off, but it's also a tough it's a tough sell, and you have to know when to do it and when not to do it.
Yeah, and that's kind of the point I was going to bring up. I think if I was forced to play this card, um, the one thing I would be trying to do is stay out of enemy firing arcs as much as possible, but still within range to suck in all those target lock tokens.
Yeah.
And make it so that they can't use it against a friendly ship of mine. Because, I mean, if we're talking perfect quality, you're talking target lock battle station. That's what people are trying to get. That's what everyone's working towards. So if core is in behind, say the Enterprise E that's got that target lock. Well, it doesn't need a target lock. That's not a good example. A ship that's trying to fire Fed torpedoes and it needs that target lock to fire them. If you're behind that ship and it doesn't have a rear firing arc, like in a Kira class, you can see, and you're within range 1 to 3 of your friendly ship, you can suck that target lock up off them so the Akira can't all of a sudden use its Fed torpedoes. That's really the only situation I find myself trying to use the card in. I don't know if there's any other situations you guys might find for that, but I don't see
I think you're probably right, and that's why you need the extra maneuverability with sensor echoes or turns. If you put Laris, or not Laris, but if you put some of the other cards we talked about, it may give you that extra maneuverability to get in out of arc, but still have those target locks.
Yeah. So I don't hate the card. I'm not in love with it. I do think that there's an older core that does it a little bit better. But I'm okay with it. Again, I don't believe any card is a bad card. I think there's definitely always a use for them somewhere. We just have to find it. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's move over to the next captain. And again, it's our other version of Kang. The one that everybody's been asking for, because he's been the only Dahar master we've been missed in this game, the entire release of this game. So when defending, during the modify attack dice step, spin the ship's target lock token. The attacking ship must re-roll all of its attack dice. Skill 8, elite talent slot, 5 points. This is good for those times where you have that target lock still and you're defending. I think the only word of caution that I would have is that your opponent may have a bad roll, and they may have, if they're rolling 4 attack dice and they roll 2 crits, you've got to be aware that they're going to re-roll everything. So they're going to re-roll those 2 crits and then those 2 blanks that they had. I think that's really the only thing you need to... There's Rob Fletcher making an appearance in the video. Okay. Yeah, I think that's really the only thing I would say in a word of caution when trying to use the card. Again, I think the text is pretty good because you're definitely trying to get a target lock, especially with some of the weapons you're trying to use. Klingons really don't have access to the battle stations too often, so target locks are generally what they're trying to do outside of cloaking. We'll pass it over to Dave first. Oh, true.
Yeah, I'm struggling to come up with great combos. An okay one is the Fed Crew Wharf that costs 5. When defending, you may disable this card. If you do so, the attacking ship rolls 1 fewer attack die and cannot spend battle stations or target lock tokens to modify its attack roll. So, yes, even though you're giving them the reroll, now they can't modify it in any way. And that could be something that's helpful. This is another one. it's weird to have another use for a target lock because it's a persisting token, and I like it, but I also it feels unnatural to me to use a target lock in this defensive way. And so I think I'm struggling to wrap my head around it too.
The chat is pointing out that with skill boosts, he could be boosted up to a skill 11. If paired with the Dahar Master, I believe that gives him a free target lock.
Yeah.
Yep. So there's definitely ways to... I don't think he's a bad card. I like the ability. I do. Because I think the Klingons need help in their defense portion of the game. Especially a lot of their cloaked ships. The cloaked ships get the cloak bonus, but we're talking if those situations where you are out of cloak and you're rolling only one defense die, this could definitely help you. It could also hurt you, so it's a gamble. How about you, Dan? What'd you think of the card?
Well, I kind of struggled with it as well, but I definitely felt that you need something to come in play to prevent the attack dice from being modified or replaced. So they can't, do that to you. So I was looking at maybe dispersive armor as another way of doing that. They only get to roll 4 and they can't do anything other than just roll 4.
Okay. I think, that could be... That could work if they can't modify. Again, that falls in line with Wharf here, where you can't spend any of your tokens. You can't modify anything. I do like that. Because then it's just up to the luck of the roll, which is a 1 in 8 chance. I mean, air quotes on the 1 in 8 chance on that one. Because we all know probability doesn't work like that. Yeah, I think those are all good uses. I struggled to find a combo myself, but I do like that this Worth from the Hathaway. I think the right action if you're playing this card is making sure that your opponent can't spend their tokens and they can't modify their attack dice beyond what you already have done. So I do like this combo here. All right. So, moving on to the first crew of the pack is Yeto. And he's coming from the episode where I believe there were 2 Klingons. We've already got one of them in the game, but there were 2 Klingons that boarded Deep Space Nine during an ion storm to try and steal the Trill symbiote from Dax. So we got action. Discard this card and target an opposing ship that has no active shields. Range 1 to 2. Disable 1 crew upgrade on the target ship and or steal 1 crew upgrade from the target ship, ignoring this ship's restrictions. Stealing is interesting. Instead of disabling, honestly, if I'm playing the card, I don't know if I'm disabling any crew. I'm definitely going to be stealing if I'm playing the card.
Well, why not both?
You can do both.
Oh, you can do both, can't you? And or.
Yeah. And or.
Well, yeah, then I'm definitely doing both. No active shields, so this can work against the cloaked ship. So you can... I mean, if you're on a Klingon ship, you could steal Cloaking Wharf if you don't have him. Well, that'd be an interesting way to get him in twice into your fleet.
I saw this as a way of taking those builds that have, like you said earlier, Jerry, that linchpin card.
Yeah.
That you can take away and pretty much totally demolish their ability to do what they planned.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think this is I think this card's good. I don't know if there's any really necessary combos that you have to do with this card.
Projected stasis field.
Oh yeah, lowering the shields.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good combo. Yeah, I can see that working fairly well. Yeah, I think you use this against either a ship that you did that on or a cloaked ship. Um, I don't think there's really any other necessary combos with this card. I think it definitely stands on its own.
And that's a really nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, not every card needs a combo. I mean, I like the card. Now that I see the and or, um, that's great.
It is.
I mean, you're discarding this. It's an action, so you're using your action economy, which is fine. Especially if you're disabling and taking a crew. You know, that's almost 2 actions for the price of 1. Range 1 to 2. And like Dan said, you find that linchpin card, a lot of times it's a crew. You can pull that crew, and then you can disable a crew for fun. Yeah, I like the card. How about you, Dave?
Oh, I like the card. And I should note projected stasis field should be on a different ship for maximum efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For 2 actions.
Let's just be clear.
Yep, yeah.
And do you think Yeto should go on a lower skill captain so when he activates first, he can do this?
I would build with projected stasis field on the lowest, and then Yeto with the next one.
Okay.
Just so that if you need to 1-2 a ship, then you can hit him first with PSF and then second with Yeto. Because you don't want to be stuck going, I don't have any ships with no shields, so what do I do?
That's true.
Yeah.
Because a good player is going to see this card and go, oh, I can't cloak.
Mm-hmm.
Or I can only cloak if I'm okay losing my crew on that ship.
Yeah, that's a good point. It could definitely make them target that ship first, because they're going to be worried about losing said linchpin. So the chat has offered a couple of different cards. Borg Tractor Beam is another way it could make it work.
Got some high end spenders there. I like it. I mean, yeah, it's a combo. It'll work.
Yeah. So here is Borg Tractor Beam. Oh, let's scale it up a little more. So there's Borg Tractor Beam. That could work. The other card that is interesting that they brought up, and I don't know why I didn't think of it, but Ahura. Yeah. Just to extend the range of that card. Oh, let's get that out of there. So yeah, you got Ahura, who's going to extend the range of Yeto up to range 3.
And projected stasis field.
True.
Yeah.
And or Borg Tractor Beam.
Yeah, so I think if you're going to run the card, as you said, Dave, you're going to have projected stasis field. Oh, well, because if you put projected stasis field on a different ship, you're gonna have to decide which ship Ahura is going to be on.
Yeah, send a low skill ship in to die. Seriously, if the low point ship goes in further and does their job of hitting a ship with projected stasis field, then Yeto can hang back because Yeto's wanting to steal something.
Yeah.
That means you want that ship to be around for longer, which Uhura should be on Yeto's ship.
Yeah, I think I agree with that logic. I can definitely see. Yeah. I can see where that works. So there we go. So you get a sacrificial ship with projected stasis field, low captain skill. Fire that off. If your opponent's ship isn't cloaked, get strip their shields. Use Uhura to extend Yeto up to range 1 to 3, and pull whatever crew you wanted off that ship. I think it's definitely interesting. That's another way to, like I said earlier, to try and get a second copy of Cloaking Worf off somebody else's Klingon fleet if they're running him. But you'd have to have him on a Klingon ship, otherwise he's going to discard. I think that was the ruling anyway. Maybe I'm wrong on that. Because he's faction locked to a Klingon ship, or a Klingon captain.
Yeah, that sounds right, but don't quote me on things.
Yeah, we're getting too far in it. So yeah, Yeto, I like it. I like the ability. I mean, it took me till just now to see the and or, to be honest. So, having seen that, I do like it. I think it's got a place, and it's definitely a card that could stand on its own. But there are cards that can complement it too. So, I think that's a great design overall. Now, moving on to the next crew. Number 15 in the pack here. So we're at 15 out of 28. We're not covering all 28 because some of them are copies. But we've got Kolana. When one or more time tokens would be placed on a weapon upgrade equipped to this ship, place one fewer time tokens. If this ship is cloaked and it's a Klingon weapon upgrade, place two fewer time tokens instead. Alright, I'm going to throw it over to Dan. Let's see what you think.
I like this card, especially if you can stay cloaked and have the ability to use a secondary weapon twice, or not twice, but in successive rounds. So, okay, I haven't really looked at all the weapons yet to see which one would work best, but I'm thinking it could be very useful, especially if you get behind someone, you fly past them.
Yeah.
It could be pretty devastating.
I definitely agree with you, and I have some options in mind where I like this card. But let's throw it over to Dave first, and then we can move into that direction.
Ferengi photon torpedoes.
Yep.
They take 2 time tokens. Now, you only need 1 copy.
That's true.
So 1 time token, you're paying the same cost, except probably less because no faction penalty. Although harder to discount crew than weapons, but that's a different story. But yeah, really, if you're going to make her useful, then you probably want more than just a single copy of Ferengi photon torpedoes. You'd want to be looking at some of these other Klingon weapons, which I'm sure we'll dive into. But yeah, I think Kolana at least plays an interesting role. I'm happy to have a good time token discounter that's a little more specialized.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely think Ferengi photon torpedoes was one of the bigger weapons I was thinking of. Mainly because there is a build that I run with the Scimitar, where I've got a couple copies of Ferengi photon torpedoes. But I may not need to run a couple copies now in Lurin, because Lurin will discount those torpedoes. So there's some room for her. But one of the other weapons I was thinking of was the Klingon photon torpedoes from the Raptor pack. So that one you do have to have the target lock to fire, but you don't use the target lock to fire, and you place 2 time tokens on it. But now it's a Klingon weapon, and Kolana is saying, hey, you don't need to put 2 time tokens on this weapon, and it's ready to go next round. So I think that's definitely one option to be looking at with Kolana. The other option is improved phasers. So I think she can go on a Federation ship. You don't because the second half of her ability is for a Klingon weapon. She's not locked to anything. So with improved phasers, you put 2 time tokens on. She says 1 fewer. Now all of a sudden she's taking place of Arsenal, just not giving you that weapon slot. But she's cheaper. So you can put her with improved phasers on, say, the USS Reliant, where all of a sudden you're getting a 4 attack from improved phasers. Whoops. Come on, let go. Okay. There we go. Let's get photon torpedoes out there. So you're getting a 4 attack from improved phasers. On top of that, it's treated like a primary weapon, so you're getting the range bonus, which the Reliant then all of a sudden kicks in. So now you've got a 6 dice attack pretty much every turn, range 1 to 3. I don't know what you guys think about that.
Nice trick.
I just want to make the Reliant useful again. I think you throw maybe Captain James T. Kirk from the Animated Faction Pack on, and you're throwing down a battle station, and you can put another crew on for some kind of defense, for defensive quality. Yeah, I think that's an option. I like Kolana. Someone's saying Disruptor Blast could be fun from the D7s.
Oh, yeah.
Let's pull that card. Disruptor Blast or Animated Core could keep her going. Animated Core could keep her going. I don't know about that one. Does Core... I don't think Animated Core stops. I mean...
No, but it's a nice combo.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Make the weapons more powerful.
Make the weapons more powerful, stay cloaked, adding a hit, yeah. That could be nice. I think I like Disruptor Blast. Let's get that one out here. Throw Core off to the side. Disruptor Blast, now she makes Disruptor Blast 1 time token, which you get to use every turn if you're a D7. Well, you get to use every turn. And then if you're a D7, so you get to make 2 attacks each turn. I do like that.
Mm-hmm.
I do like that. Alright, so let's move on to the next crew. And that is Mara. That would be Kang's wife from the original series. Add the scan action to the ship's action bar. When the captain of the ship would be disabled or discarded, discard this card instead. 2 points. Klingon Faction. Here's a cheaper option for Leonalis.
Mm-hmm.
That could pair well with Kang.
Or as I like to say, porque no los dos.
It gives the Klingons access to a scan token that they never had before. At least not on some of their other ships. I think the Raptor's the only one that has it. I don't know.
Yes, I'm trying to think if a random D7 has it, but I don't think so.
Yeah. No, I don't think so. There's that one random D7 that does not cloak from the Animated Faction Pack, but I don't remember what its action bar is off the top of my head. I guess I can look.
Because I know the Groth has battle stations, and yeah.
The Divisor is the one I'm thinking of, and no, it's only got a Evade Target Lock battle station.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, she gives access to the scan token, which could be, I mean, pair her with Mr. Spock, maybe? That's an expensive combo, but it's a combo.
That's a really expensive combo.
Yeah,
I want to say her main use is the bottom half. She's one
yeah,
more use, and I think we already covered it. She's one more use of Kang.
Mm-hmm.
yeah, rightfully so. I mean, she is his wife. So yeah, I think that's the play with her, is to keep Kang around a little bit longer. I don't really think there's any other combos that really matter with her. Do you guys have anything else to add to her outside of that?
No, not really.
Okay, that one's an easy one. She's a good card. Alright, next one is Klingon Gunner. 1 per ship. When attacking, during the modify attack dice step, discard this card and add 1 hit. It is a 2-point Klingon upgrade. Isn't there a thing called Klingon Beck? Isn't this what this card is?
Certainly feels like it.
Yeah, Klingon... Well, okay. Klingon Beck
Mhm.
converts 1 hit to a crit.
Yeah, so in some ways I like Gunner a little more.
Yeah.
I mean, converting has its place, and I've done it. This is Punivas. Yep. Discard to add a hit. So now you can run both.
Hmm.
And Chemosite and Kang, and add 3
Yeah.
hits and 2 crits to
2
your attack.
crits. Yes.
Oh, just pile it on.
It's the Kang alpha kill. I'm telling you.
I think you're right, David. I think you're right.
And you've got Mara or Lee Nollis to stick around so that you get 1 more use out of it, out of Kang.
Huh?
Here's a card that the chat has suggested that would work.
You don't want to go down the Kang route, yeah.
Yeah.
Wayoon's a good one with that. Then you've got a hit, disable Wayoon. You still got a hit. I don't love it because then ultimately you're going to have to re-enable Wayoon to add a hit.
Yeah. It works better, as they said in the chat. It works better with Captain's Chair.
Yes.
Just because you can re-enable Wayoon, but with resources being what they are at the moment, outside of Fremont, they're a no-go. So, but I do like that Wayoon Captain's Chair. That's a good combo.
It's a neat combo. Even Wayoon to protect a crew is a nice ability.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think, as you said, if you're playing this card, it's in that core Alpha Strike. I really like that, and that's definitely an idea I might be building on after we're done here.
Darn, I came up with stuff and I'm letting it go on live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not even pay-per-view.
Everyone's going to be playing this.
I have reshaped the meta. I'm bending it to my will right now. Dance, puppets, dance.
So yeah, I think Klingon Gunner is a good card. What do you think of it, Dan?
I liked it, and I thought pairing it with Kang and any other card that's going to give me an additional hit or crit, I just think, yes, very powerful for me.
Yeah. They're saying, chat's saying maybe Gold Press Latinum might work with it. If you're bringing a card back, you'd be spending 2 Gold Press Latinum to bring it back. The Ferengi ship that brings back cards, I believe that's Goss's Marauder, and that only brings back Ferengi cards. I believe that's what you're referencing.
Nitpicky words. Always stopping us from doing what we want to do.
Yeah, I mean, gold press platinum could work. The problem is you don't have so much of it. You have to learn how to bank it.
And then you're running a Ferengi captain, which means you're not running Kang, which...
I mean, you could technically run lore, but again, you're spending a lot of money, or not a lot of money. You're spending a lot of points on running, the rules of acquisition to get gold press platinum onto him as an elite talent.
Ooh. Ooh.
It's not something. It's a path to go down. It's not one that I would.
No, but it's nice to know it exists.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. What have I done?
Oh, I wasn't planning on it.
Okay.
Well, you gotta get... This show is all about giving people options.
Oh yeah.
Making people go, "Oh, I can do that? Oh, I hadn't thought about that."
Yeah. To be completely honest, I consider this show a success. If one person walks away with this going, "Man, I never thought of that combo, and I'm going to start using it," and that's good. That's what I want. That's all I want.
And even if you don't use something we suggested, but it made you think of something else, then same thing, success.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. It caused you to look at things just a little differently and have new ideas.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from Klingon Gunner, we have Chatarg. In phase, remove an aux power token besides this ship. Flip this ship's cloak token to its green side. I do like this card. I know a lot of people. There were some of the. I don't want to name names. It's not how I want to do things. I know people don't like this aux power removal thing that's coming into existence with the game. But this card, I like this card, and it's got a couple of combos that I know that I like. But we'll start with you, Dan, this time. What do you think of Chatarg?
Well, I like the ability to stay cloaked, obviously. Yes. I don't usually run fleets that do a lot of cloaking, but with some of these new cards, I'm looking at it more seriously to see it as an option. I didn't run cloak usually because I always found when I had to drop my cloak, I got myself beat up really hard. So I haven't looked at this too close, but I do like the possibilities that it's going to present for me.
Yeah. How about you, Dave? What do you think?
So I'm thinking of two things right now. Option one, pairing him with core from this pack to maybe someday let me see in action again.
Okay.
Option two is to put him on, let's say, the ISS Defiant and just let him chip away at aux power, almost forgetting about the cloak ability. Now, I know that's a pricey use of him, but he just sits there, and every round he's going to remove an aux power token. And maybe I add one, maybe I add two, maybe I don't add any. Yeah. Maybe it's a pointless endeavor. Because I think a lot of times with the Defiant, you kind of go, I'm okay never seeing an action again. But there's at least a time where you can say, well, this works to let me get back to that position where I can take an action if I don't get shot for a while.
Yeah. So I had a couple of options come to mind when I saw this card. The first one, and none of them, he's not getting paired with another Klingon ship. Because you can run him on a Romulan ship with, say, advanced cloaking. Where, well, I guess you don't want to do that because you're already staying cloaked. That's not a good example. Oh, you know what? I just, the two combos I had thought of, they're busted. Because he's already not making, he's making sure your ship is going to stay cloaked. I guess
Doesn't Scimitar take an ox?
it does, but it stays
stay
cloaked. Yeah, because I pulled that card too.
Ah, okay.
Those are my two thoughts were the Scimitar and or another ship that's running advanced cloaking, but Chatarg's already doing that. He's already
Admiral Worf.
Okay.
Admiral Worf, because the ship with Admiral Worf, or that uses Admiral Worf, takes the Ox Power token.
Yeah.
And since this is in the in phase, it doesn't matter how many times you attack, your cloak token will be red, and then you get rid of your Ox and you go green. Right? All those other cards that say prevent your cloak token from flipping, if you attack twice, it flips the second time. So now Chatarg says the last time, okay, now come back to the green.
Yeah. Okay. I'm sold on that. I like that.
So Chatarg would go on the small ship that is going to be taking the action, or is going to be targeted by the action of Worf. That will have the Ox Power token on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think that's probably the best combo, to be honest. Because everything else I thought of was busted, and I'm surprised. Man,
hey, that's why we do this.
I was all proud of myself. I was like, yeah, all right, this is gonna work. This is great. Nope. He already does it. Does it better. But that's okay. So yeah, I think Chatarg paired with Admiral Worf, giving that lower ship an attack while that ship takes an Ox Power. So Chatarg is definitely going to be want to be on that lower ship. Yeah, I think that works. I think that's good. I like Chatarg. Again, I think these faction packs are great. I think the abilities are moving in the correct direction, if you ask me. From in you guys, with you being around as long as you have in the game, I think you guys will agree with me that it used to be, well, you'd get one of the blisters, and you'd have all these cards, and you'd have some good cards, and then just cards that you put in the binder and never see again. It seems like with these faction packs, the cards are a step up where they possibly could see play. Whether it's competitive or mission play or just at home play, they're going to get played.
Well, I would agree, Jerry, and I know we've talked about this. The ability for new players, I think this is really great for new players because, as you said in the past, you couldn't always get all the right cards. And if you started the game late, you had to go on eBay or somewhere and spend lots of money to get stuff. Where here, almost any pack, I think you can build a decent fleet from that pack and play and feel good about what you're doing without having to have all the go-to cards that have come into existence.
If I can math nerd for a moment.
No.
No?
Oh. No. I'm a biologist. You can't math nerd. No.
Okay. Statistics.
50s and Dave. Yes, I can do that.
Okay. So I feel like in the blisters, the ship packs, what happened for the first few years of the game, you got a lot. You got almost you got two peaks and a valley in the middle. So you got a lot of like A, B cards, not many C cards, and a lot of D's and F's. Now it feels more like a normal distribution, maybe a little skewed towards the B range. Where, yeah, there's a few really good cards. There's a few A's. There's more B's, C's. There's a couple of bad cards, not terrible cards, maybe not so many F's, but there's some D's, some not super playable cards. But
Yeah.
it's a more well-rounded distribution.
Yeah.
So it seems to work a whole lot better now, where you can buy just about any product and you'll still end up with playable material.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so Chitarg is our last crew. So now we will pull. We're going into the elite talents. This one is a death worthy of Stovokor. It is a Klingon captain locked. Discard this card and discard this card and a crew upgrade equipped to this ship, and target an opposing ship at range 1 to 2. Discard an upgrade equipped to the target ship. If that upgrade has a printed SP cost higher than the printed SP cost of the crew you discarded, this ship rolls +1 attack die for all attacks this game round. Okay, so immediately you're going to want this card on a ship that's going to make more than 1 attack, if you're going to play this card. It's got a lot of words, and I'll be completely honest, I generally skew away from cards that have a lot of words, because there's generally a lot of different costs and variables that go into them. What do you have to say, Dave?
While I don't love the card, I do find it at least intriguing. I will say Grilka and the Tellarite Bounty Hunter better be prepared to die many deaths, because they are those 1-point crew. Basically, any 1-point crew better be ready to die many deaths.
Yeah.
I think additional phaser arrays, the Fremont Special is going to see more play, because that's your 1-2 punch. And that's really one of the best ways to get more out of this card. The card we covered earlier, Klingon Gunner, that gives you that extra attack in the end phase. Well, now your captain's having a death worthy of Stovokor as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, maybe it's all a little pricey, but when you can make that many high value attacks, maybe it is worth something. I don't know. It's got me at least thinking, and that's something that I haven't been able to say of a lot of Klingon elite talents.
That's true. How about you, Dan? What do did you get any combos with this?
I had mixed feelings about it. It seemed a little pricey for me, but like David, I was going to make sure I had those 1 cost crew that I can get rid of. And I see it as kind of situational, but I kind of have mixed feelings about it. Additional phaser arrays came up with getting rid of that. I didn't see a lot of combos with it. I hadn't thought about the ships that can fire twice. That makes it a little more palatable to me.
Yeah. The chat did recommend this card, and I think it's a fairly good combo. Torpedo Fusillade.
Yeah.
So at least you're getting +1 for every torpedo attack that you're making. It's each separate attack.
I would also throw Tune Core into that.
It's definitely going to be a range 2 special.
Yeah.
Unless you increase it with Uhura, but then you're talking a whole nother crew slot and even more expensive stuff. So I think this is definitely a range 2 special. If you're going to use Fusillade. Additional phaser arrays is interesting, because if you run that again, if you attack again, you're -2 attack dice. But then with the +1, so you're really only -1. Again, I think that's an interesting an interesting card. Admiral Worf is another one that comes up. Would it pair well with the Vorn? It could pair well with the Vorn. The Vorn you're getting a boost during your range attack. Boop-a-doop-doop. Here's the Vorn. Oh, let's scale that up a little more. I think I know what I need to work on in the next episode. We'll get some scaled up cards. So yeah, it could work with the Vorn. It could push you to that rule of 3 threshold if you're attacking at range 1. So you could have 4, 6, 7, 8. No, yeah. 8 at range 1 if they're. Yeah, I mean, Deathworthiest. It's an interesting concept. You're discarding a crew. Like you said, you're definitely your 1-point crew. Your Grilkas, your Tellarite bounty hunters. I guess Klingon Beck if you wanted to. That's a 1-point crew.
Yeah. I almost wonder if this fits best underneath DNA encoded messages as one of your 3 options. That way you're not committed to it, but you still have the option for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I do like that. So with the Vorn, this is a Predator in the chat asks, does the Vorn only work for 1 attack? So the Vorn's text reads when attacking. In my experience, it works with every attack, as long as the ship is cloaked.
It should.
Yeah. So if you're firing Torpedo Fusillade at range 2, you're getting that +1 attack dice each time you attack. So if you're making multiple attacks at range 1, you're getting that ability as well. So yeah, the Vorn should work for more than 1 attack. Again, that's one of my favorite cards at the moment to run in a competitive sense. But let's move on to the next elite talent, which I actually really like. Now we do get 3 copies of this card in the faction pack, which I think was a brilliant move on WizKids' part. So, 1 per ship, Dahar Master, locked to a Klingon ship, can only be equipped to a captain named Kang, Koloth, or Kor. Increase the captain skill of this captain by 1 for each copy of Dahar Master in your fleet, including this one. Activation phase, this ship may perform a cloak action or a target lock action as a free action. I am telling you that this is immediately going into my competitive fleet, because I have Kor on my Vorn as we speak, and he's got an elite talent slot that's open, and I have 2 points that I can throw right onto that ship. I'm using this card. Not only does it increase your captain skill, it also gives me a free action. I'm using it because the Vorn needs to be cloaked. That's one of my combos right there. Is Dahar Master with any of the Dahar Masters, mainly Kor, the reroll Kor, or the Tomb Kor, and the Vorn. Because you want to be cloaked with the Vorn. The Vorn's going to hit harder when it's cloaked, the closer you get with it. Increasing your captain skill. That reroll Kor is a skill 8. Increasing him to skill 9 puts him at the top tier there. I think that's a good combo. What'd you think of the card, Dave?
I like it for all the reasons you're talking about. The reason we like Lursa is because she gives us a free cloak or sensor echo.
Mm-hmm.
Dahar Master does similar things, cloak or target lock. So it plays into a lot of these captains and ships that are in this pack. It seems to have great synergy with what's going on. I mean, obviously, you sit here and you go, okay, it's limited to 3 named captains, but I think collectively between those 3 names, we have something like 9 abilities, maybe 10.
Mhm.
There's a fair number.
Yeah. If that's a good point.
And so we definitely don't lack for choice.
No, no.
You know, some of them, like, defensive reroll, absorb shots core. I don't really see the synergy here, but other things, a lot of the other versions of core, oh yeah, this works. Kang benefits with a free target lock to make that alpha strike even more potent. Koloth has at least some use, and I mean, just about every Klingon ship benefits from a sensor, or sorry, a cloak, and then being able to sensor echo or a target lock. So,
Yeah. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I don't know what I can add to what the two of you have said, but I like this card. And it's probably one of the reasons why I'm going to start trying to play Klingons, which I've usually stayed away from. I really think with the increase in captain skill and the free actions, it just, and as David said, all the different, even though there are 3 captains that it works with, the options are many. And I see lots of opportunities here.
Yeah, because this could also work with the Mirror Universe captains.
Mm-hmm.
So you've still got Mirror Universe Kang hanging out there, Mirror Universe Core. Those are still out there. So really, you've got the three captains in this pack: Kang, Koloth, Core, 2 copies of Kang, really, and then everything else that's out there. So there's definitely a lot to like here. And again, my competitive fleet building, I generally look at, reroll core first, and I go down the line from there. Mainly because when I'm building the Vorn, that's what I'm looking at, is attack dice quality. With the Har Master, I'm getting my attack dice first, and if I'm already cloaked, I can take that target lock for quality, and I'm running Admiral Gowron, who's given me a battle station. So now you've got the magic combo of target lock battle station. And I still have an action to use, because Gowron will grant you that free action, so I can sensor echo where I need to go. I think the Vorn's definitely an underplayed, an underutilized ship in the competitive space. See, the chat says Mirror Kang and Core could be fun. You could have +5 captain skills, so even someone reduces, and that's true. You could run a fleet where you've got Kang, Koloth, Core, Prime Universe, and then you're running the Mirror Universe Kang and Core. So you could have 5 copies of Dahar Master hanging out there. You'd get capped at rule of 3 on the captain skill. But you could technically run 5 Dahar Masters. One of the fleets I was thinking of, and I think they alluded to it, Steven might have alluded to it, was pairing Dahar Master with Gornale, and making kind of a drunken master fleet, as they would call it, where you're running Dahar Master. I think Robert might have talked about it too. But you're running Dahar Masters, increasing captain skill. Then you're running Meridor and Gornale, giving you more attack. In trade-off for that captain skill. But I think that's an interesting route to go. I haven't completely played with it to see what I could come up with in that area, but it's something for people to think about. Is the drunken master build, as they called it. Yeah, the 5 Dahar Masters is interesting. I don't know if I'd run it competitively, but maybe in a mission I might try and fit it in there, or a side event. That'd be fun. But yeah, overall, I think Dahar Master is a great card, even with it being locked to those 3 names. As we've pointed out, there's a lot of options. So, again, there's 3 copies. And that is the last elite talent in this pack. We've got the first weapon in this pack is 1 per ship. It is concussive charges, and it's got the asterisks for a weapon value. And it is front and rear arc, locked to a Klingon ship. The attack value of this weapon is the ship's primary weapon value. Attack. Spend this ship's cloak token, raise its shields, and place 2 time tokens on this card and target an opposing ship. If this card is equipped to a Katinga class ship, it rolls +1 attack die. For each uncancelled hit or crit, remove up to 1 token of your choice beside the defending ship. And it's coming in at 2 points. So we've already had concussive charges in the game before, and I believe this is a much better version. I think it's a better worded version, and it's closer. So the concussive charges that we already had is 4 points, and it's range 2 to 3, and 4 attack dice. This is range 1 to 2, but you're spending a cloak token and you're raising your shield. I don't know. It's situational for me. I'm not 100% sure what situation that would be where I'm using it. What do you think, Dan?
Well, I thought it was situational as well, at least the way I play. Maybe useful if you swoop by and get in behind somebody with that rear firing arc, if you have a ship that has that. But I don't know. I had a hard time coming up with why I would want to equip this to my build.
Yeah. Could you kill your opponent's cloak? You spend... yes? Huh. Interesting.
Yeah, if you punch through, you just remove their cloak token. Their shields wouldn't come back up. So if you get lucky, you could actually get through that way. That's one of the good uses of this, but boy, that's going to be rare.
Yeah, I didn't even think about that, but that is a good point. It says remove token. Yeah. Oh, combined with Nanclus.
Where they can't roll defense dice.
I like that. That's good. Yeah, let me get Nanclus pulled up here. Either way,
Antares has not seen much competitive play lately.
No, at least, well, I mean, in Fremont, he's been kind of on the shelf, but yeah, when I went to Worlds, I didn't really see him out there. Or not Worlds, Nationals. Nationals in 2019, I didn't see him. Do you have any other combos, Dave, for this card? Or anything else with this card?
I think this really becomes about how can you get more dice, because you need to be able to hit hard.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, Nanclus of course is going to help, but really you have to make sure that you're rolling quantity and quality to get as much through as possible. It's almost, yeah, they're only going to have 1-2 tokens, but you still want to be able to make it hurt. And if you're not making your attack hurt, then why did you spend your shields and all of that?
Mm-hmm.
And again, Garrick. Garrick, thank you, Jerry.
Yeah, so I think right there, Nanclus, Elam Garrick, so he can't, or the opponent can't cancel a hit or a crit, so you're at least getting one. Also, I will tell everybody on the stream that the Nanclus that is on the screen is not he was errated, right? He's got an errata. I don't remember now.
Don't.
No, he's just got an updated. Yeah. Wait. Utopia reads: discard this card targeting an opposing ship. I think he got an updated card,
Yeah.
and I don't
Uh-huh.
have that, or we don't have that in TTS. Just the way the ID system works out. That's the only reason why it's not in there. So I don't think there's any change.
No, because they went through a few months when they were just giving us new versions of old cards.
Yeah.
Which was fine.
Yeah, so I definitely think a Nanclis Elam Garrick combo here could help concussive charges out. You just have to. The ship's got to be cloaked. Your ship has got to be cloaked.
So then you're looking at a Dahar Master, and yeah, it's not bad. It's just getting a little pricey, which is fine. I think it goes best on a Katinga.
Yeah, that could work. A Katinga, one of those Barrels.
Yeah.
Well, really, you want it on a Katinga because you're getting +1 attack die. Yeah, I think that's probably Katinga. Who else gets you 1+? There's now we've looked at all the cards and I can't remember who. Was it Kang? No, Kang has had 2 crit results. Could combine it with the albino.
Could.
Throw it on the Koskari with the albino, Nanclis, and Elam Garrick. That might be a fun little ship right there. It's not a Katinga, but you're rolling +1 from the albino, and then you're adding a hit. Well, okay. So there's.
I'd probably go with the Ta'akog. Taco G.
The Taco G. So in the pack, you get 2 concussive charge cards. So there's 2 of them to run because we get 2 Katingas. Now we've got another weapon here, Waylay. It has another asterisk for its weapon value, forward firing arc, and it has to be on a ship with a hull of 3 or less. The attack value of this weapon is the ship's primary weapon value, range 1 to 2. Attack, place 2 time tokens on this card and target an opposing ship. If this card is equipped to a Burrell class, place an Aux Power token beside the defending ship. After making this attack, the ship may perform a 1 bank, left or right, and it's white, and place an invade token beside this ship. Dave, do you want to start on this card?
Yeah, so I'm getting a little bit of Ferengi Photon Torpedo vibes.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that Aux Power token on the defending ship. So it's got extra utility there. And I like the bottom part, that bonus move. It gives me this is all going into the now you see me, now you don't fleet. This bonus maneuver, things like the Saran, the Thomas Riker, all of these things, they work together. Yes, we put this on a Burrell, but I think it works really well with the albino and the Koskari.
Yeah.
And it just works. And a free evade is a good thing. We want this on a high skill captain, so that you can benefit from that evade, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Oh, yeah, the chat's saying Luren's a bird of prey.
Well, that too.
That way you attack first, and then you move out of the way. What about you, Dan?
Well, I was thinking along the same lines, like I always do, I guess. But the now you see them, now you don't concept.
Yeah.
I think we're really good with that. And yeah, but the high skill captain, I think you need that. I was looking at it on the Kaskari. I was just looking at this pack. I thought it worked pretty well with that.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I definitely think that's exactly what this card's meant to be. That's the exact fleet this card needs to be involved in. Is the now you see him, now you don't. He's got to go on a ship -3 hull, so you're not looking at too many options, but the options it does have is good. Because a lot of people are going to be running those Burrells. Let's be honest. A Burrell is a glass cannon, especially when it's cloaked. You only have to put 3 damage into it before it's gone. So if you're able to move out of the way and then get an evade token just because, that seems perfect to me. Not to mention Kalana, as the chat just pointed out. Yeah, Kalana makes this so you can use it every turn. So yeah, definitely Ferengi Photon Torpedo vibes, but I think it works well in a Burrell class, really. I mean, you could put it on a Raptor, but I think its place is a Burrell. That's funny. Chat just recommended a Raptor as soon as I said it too. So yeah, I think. Oh, go ahead, Dan.
Since it's not unique, it might work pretty well with a swarm.
Oh, that's a good point. It's not unique, and it's not one per ship.
Yeah.
So I mean,
everybody gets one.
Yeah, you could load 2 of these on a ship.
Yeah.
If you don't have Kalana or Romulan Tactical Officer or Arsenal, if you don't want to pay, I wouldn't pay that much for those cards, but because you're if you put Romulan Tactical Officer on a Klingon ship, I think there's extra SP involved in that. Anyway, I'm getting off on a tangent here. Let's go on to the next card. Something that the Klingons don't do very well. It is the Science Station. 1 per ship. Add a 1 tech upgrade to the ship's upgrade bar. Range 1 to 3, free action. If the ship is cloaked, place 2 time tokens on this card. Place 1 scan token besides this ship. If an opposing ship is within the ship's primary firing arc, this ship may perform a target lock action, targeting that opposing ship as a free action. Okay. I like that this ship is adding a tech slot. It's paying for its, or this card is adding a tech slot. It's paying for itself. This is a card that you could pair with the Katinga that we were talking about earlier. The Katanko, where you can put a 4 SP tech for free. So you're getting the Science Station, and then you can put Klingon Cloaking Device on, or do whatever. So, yes. Yes, so the chat's asking if you can use the scan action with the Science Station. And if Mara gave you the scan action, the answer is yes. Because the keyword with Science Station is place. So you're placing a scan token beside the ship. Placing and then doing the action are 2 separate things. And I believe that ruling came on Valaris. If you can correct me if I'm wrong on that, but because Valaris is placing an evade and WizKids came up with that one. But let's throw it over to Dave. He's rather quiet at the moment.
Yeah. Pondering. I feel like this is another key to the Kang Alpha Strike build. I don't
Okay.
know. It might be too much, but why not? Why not hit them with a scan token so that they roll one less defense die and
Hmm.
have a conditional? Well, you if you're gonna target them, you might as well get that target lock on there, and it could work. It's maybe a little too expensive. I get that,
Yeah.
but typically Klingon tech doesn't have a lot of utility. We struggled to come up with good for or under Klingon tech. I'm with you. I think this does work on the Katinga. Um, it's a nice piece, but alone, I don't know that it does everything we want it to do. But it does have it. It feels like a nice complementary cog.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. Uh, I will get to Dan. How about let's have you go next. Let me look at the chat here.
Well, I thought it was a little pricey, to be honest, but I do like getting the extra tech there. But I saw it as really having to go with the Katanko.
Yeah.
I think that's where it works best.
Yeah, because then at least you're getting free points. You could
Yeah.
fill projected stasis field in its slot, and you're getting what 9 points for 5 points.
Yeah.
Um, plus you're getting that target lock. Because doesn't projected stasis field? No, it doesn't. It's an action. Never mind. I don't know what I'm talking about. Okay, so the chat's talking about um, scans. So for the scan, you would definitely have to have Mara. And the reason I say that is because Beta Hirogen, he only works if you do the scan action. So if you're placing a scan token, he does not activate, so he doesn't get to place another token. So you have to do the scan action, which Mara gives you the scan action. So you're looking at having at least 2 crew slots for that and the science station to work. But you could potentially get up to 3 scan tokens, and yes, the Vulcans do throw down a lot of tokens, and it seems like this series has been pretty popular so far tonight. We may end up getting to do a Vulcan episode, at least looking at their faction pack. So I think everything's been said that needs to be said about the science station. It's okay. It definitely can be paired with the Katanko fairly well. And I think it's really where it goes. So let's move on to the next cards, and we're moving into the new card types we've got. And we're in the home stretch here as we are going on to card 27 of 28. It is an ambassador. We've got Camarag, who is the ambassador during the motion picture movies, so Star Trek. I think his first appearance was in Star Trek 4. I want to say he was in Voyage Home, not as a named character, but he was definitely more involved with Undiscovered Country. So, Camarag, negotiations accepted. So if you guys aren't aware of how admirals work, before the start of the first turn, let's see, let me make sure I'm reading this right. So at the start of the game, players activate their ambassadors. So that's after you place your ships and you guys are ready to go. Place your ships, you guys are setting dials, that's the start of the game. You offer negotiations to a targeted ship. So And then the other player has the ability to either accept or deny those negotiations, and negotiations have effects that can be one-time effects or lasting game effects. Um, the only other thing to really be aware of as ambassadors is that targeted ship. If your ship is targeted by an ambassador and you accept those negotiations, and then you move forward and destroy that targeted ship of yours, destroys that ship that has the ambassador on board, it activates the negotiations denied part as well. That's something a lot of people tend to gloss over, I've noticed in the unboxings. But I think that's something that's important that needs to be said. So, Camarag. Negotiations accepted. During the combat phase, the ship and the target ship must attack each other if able. Negotiations denied. The next time the target ship attacks, it rolls -3 attack dice. Okay, so I don't have much. I don't think we're going to find many combos to go with ambassadors, just due to the order of operations of things. Um, but let's hear what you think, Dave, of Camarag.
Yeah. So I'm of the mind that if you're going to use your ambassador slot on Camarag, you want to put your opponent in a position where they have to shoot at a ship that they don't want to shoot at. So Camarag should be on not your high priority ship, not a vulnerable ship, uh, something that's somewhat bulky, or something that's not worth a whole lot of points.
Yeah.
In other words, you could put them on a generic Burrell, and then that's what, all of 15, 16 points?
Yep.
Yeah. And they go, oh, great, I got to shoot that one thing. Meanwhile, you can hammer home everything else that's going on. And yeah, sure, you have to shoot their ship, but you've also put yourself in a position where you're targeting a ship that you actually want to shoot.
Yeah.
And the denied part of this, that's going to be good basically no matter what you choose, provided you're choosing a ship with at least 3 attack dice. So there's not a whole lot of downside to what they're doing. Just make sure you're choosing wisely.
Yeah. Yeah. I tend to agree. The other important note is with ambassadors is they do not pay faction penalties. So you don't even have to take that Burrell. You could take that scout ship if you wanted to, or the science ship. And what, 9, 12 points? What do you think, Dan?
Well, I could see Camarag working with Core, where he acquires all the target locks. And if you are going to face an attack from one of those ships, you can reduce it. And if you couple that with dispersive armor, you're down to at least one ship rolling 1 die.
Yeah. That's true. I think there's a way you could play it to where you put Camarag on a ship that you want them to attack. So you're talking like that old Core that says, "Hey, attack me," or Colo that says, "Hey, attack me," and you make sure that the ship that accepted the negotiations attacks you. And then if they destroy you, the next time the target ship attacks, then the negotiations denied goes off too. But you got to make sure that you have a high captain skill, and you're going to pay a high price for that. So I don't know if you're going to sacrifice a high captain skill for that.
I mean, what about putting him on the I stab at the Tasha Yar combo ship and letting that ship die, and but they have to shoot you. Like that was the whole point of that ship.
True.
It's a suicide
Yeah.
mission.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
I definitely think he goes. I think that's the build that he fits into, is that the suicide build.
And if they look at it and they go, you know what, I don't want to shoot you, you still get the benefit of them rolling 3 less attack dice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that's where he fits in overall. He's not the first ambassador on my list that I would play. I'm interested to see, just because they're so new, if they're going to be in the meta for the competitive. I know this last round for Fremont, I believe there was only one build that ran ambassadors. I could be wrong, but I'm fair. There's one build that comes to mind that ran an ambassador. So I'll be interested to see if it cracks the meta in any of the ambassadors, not just the ones in this pack. Let's see. The chat is saying he could be good on a Zindi weapon. They're referencing James's build from the Fremont tournament. Yeah, his Cindy weapon build with the Kraxon, I believe it was, the one that can suck damage to his shields. That was a good. That was a pretty good build. Pairing him with a Sutherland on a defense build is good. So M Dempsey 82 asked, he doesn't get how, or he might not get how these work yet. But why would you accept? Seems like you would just deny the negotiations every time. I think it's going to take time for everybody to sort out how ambassadors really work. But I agree. You could deny it and just take the -3 attack dice. I think it's all going to come down to how you target, which ship you target. Because if you target, let's say I'll use the Fremont group as an example. Sam, who likes to run the Borg Sphere build with technological distinctiveness, if he builds, you give him time to ramp up his first attack with technological distinctiveness, then the -3 is really no big deal. And he'll deny the negotiations his time, because by the time he's ready to attack you, he's gonna have that -3 already covered with technological distinctiveness. And then once that attack's done, Camarag's done for the game pretty much. So it's really going to come down to how the player targets and whether you're going to accept or you're not. Again, I think it's going to take time for ambassadors to find their place. So let's grab the last card here. And it is the only other Klingon ambassador that we have ever seen on screen outside of Kale Yar, who was on TNG. I'm talking movies. We've got Cord from Star Trek V, The Final Frontier. Negotiations accepted. The target ship must plan its maneuver face up during the planning phase. When this target ship sustains damage to its shields or hull, this effect ends. Negotiations denied. You may plan the target ship maneuver during the next planning phase. The chosen maneuver must be on the target ship maneuver dial and be a green or white maneuver. The chosen maneuver may not cause the target to go outside of the play area. Okay. So there are a couple of cards I'm thinking of that do pair well with Cord. But I'm gonna let Dan go first.
Well, lure.
Yep.
I mean, anything that's going to make them move where you want, I see this working well with. Lure, what's the other one?
Faked messages.
Oh, yeah, fake messages. I could see that working very well with this. You know, it's a one-time only thing, right? So
Yep, and the key phrase is the chosen maneuver may not cause the target ship to go outside the play area. That's fine and dandy if you ask me, but if you're in a situation where Cord is targeting your ship and you can see that the player across from you has lore and faked messages, just accept the negotiations. Just accept them, because they're going to use lore and fake messages to then make it so that you go off the board.
yeah.
Yeah, I would just accept this one. You got anything, Dave?
Just to reiterate it, it's because a turn, like a 2-turn, a 1 bank, and a 1 straight puts you basically facing the edge of the board, and there's not much you can do to get out of the way.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Short of being cloaked and sensor echoing and praying for your life. The other thing is, if you really start to fear Cord, bring Matt Decker, and you can target yourself, and you can deal damage to yourself and end the effect.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that seems silly, but it does work.
That's true.
And it's not like Decker's a bad admiral to have in play. Decker's a great admiral. So.
Yeah. But no, that's... I think, like I said, ambassadors, it's definitely going to take time to get used to how to play them. It's something new. I definitely like how WizKids has introduced them, making it so that you don't need a slot and you don't have to pay a faction penalty for them. I just think the abilities and the negotiations need to be a little bit better, but that's all stuff that can be worked on in future packs, because we've got plenty of ambassadors coming. There's plenty of ambassadors that exist in the universe that we haven't seen yet. Granted, that's looking at it, saying, "Hey, yeah, WizKids is coming out with more faction packs." I hope they do. I hope there's more plans. But having that said, all of that, we are at the end of all the new cards. This has been a fairly good sized live stream. We're working on 2 hours 45 minutes, and I think we have done a fairly good job at talking about these cards at length, more than just reading the abilities and glancing over them. So I hope everybody that watched this live stream in the chat, I hope you guys find some use. I hope you guys like this kind of show. I think I'm going to plan on doing the Federation one soon. Thank you, Dave and Dan, for showing up and being here, and agreeing to do this kind of show with me. I think I like the idea of a roundtable more than just one person talking, because it gets more ideas thrown out there. So again, thank you guys for sitting down with me to talk about these cards.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, yeah. Thanks, Jerry.
No problem. All right, so I think we'll end it there. Oh, one thing I do want to do before I let you guys go. So, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the Captain's Tables books, the book series. So
I have read the compilation.
I have them in my collection of over 800 Star Trek books.
Oh, whoa! So the captains, they drink for free, but to pay their tab, they have to tell a story. And I'm not going to make you guys tell a story to pay your tab here, but I do want to hear what your guys' favorite moment in Star Trek is.
Oh, well, I know what mine is.
Well, go ahead, Dan.
Um, it is the Wrath of Khan and the Death of Spock. I remember the first time I saw that
Ooh.
at the theater, and I was so moved by it that when I came out, I was very loudly telling everybody that Spock dies, and I thought the whole line that was going in was going to kill me.
Awesome. I do. Wrath of Khan is one of my favorite movies out of all of the Trek movies, to be honest. All right, Dave.
So, okay, I will give you a little bit of a story here. So, when I was in 8th grade, we went back to Virginia, Washington, D.C. as a trip.
Yeah.
And a lot of schools do that either as an 8th grade or high school trip.
Yep,
But,
we did that here in Michigan.
So when I flew in, I was sick. I missed a couple of days of the trip just sitting in the hotel trying to live. But we get on the bus to go from Virginia up to DC, and because we were in the Norfolk area, but we're going through. We get close to a battlefield area, and the our tour guide puts on First Contact, the
Ooh.
start of it, and like as we round the corner onto one of the battlefields, it might have been Gettysburg. I don't remember exactly which one it was, but at that moment, the Enterprise swoops in over the Defiant, and I've loved that. I love the opening part of First Contact.
Oh yeah.
But you bring those two together, for me, being on a trip, not feeling well, and then getting Star Trek there. And even though I wasn't physically feeling great, mentally, I was feeling a whole lot better at that point. And it's like, okay, Star Trek does a lot.
Yeah. Awesome. So for me, my favorite Trek moment is definitely when I was growing up. One of my earliest memories is my dad had a copy of Wrath of Khan on VHS, and I talked about this when I just did the Alliance with Ella. I did her episode, but I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I would rewatch the Mutara Nebula battle scene over and over and over again. I eventually wore his VHS tape out. And he tells me to this day that I still owe him a copy on VHS. Even though he doesn't own a VHS player anymore, I still owe him a copy. But that's my favorite moment in Trek, is just the whole battle scene of all of it playing out from the start to beginning, or not from the start to beginning, from the beginning to end. Even to this day, if I'm feeling under the weather, my wife knows to pop in Wrath of Khan, and sure enough, I'll be on the couch and I'll be asleep, and then I'll wake up right for the battle scene. It's not that it's a bad movie. It's just it's one of those things that's comforting. Like Dave said, it definitely just makes you feel better. So, all right. Again, thank you guys for having me. I'm not going to keep you any longer. Your tabs have been paid. So hopefully we can get the Federation faction pack out soon. We can maybe Dan, you're welcome to come back to the table anytime. I think Dave is up to be co-hosting with this captain's table with me. But yeah, if anyone watching the stream is interested in coming on as a guest host, just send me a message, and I'll be more than happy to have you come on and we can talk Attack Wing or Trek. Again, thank you to everybody who tuned in. Have a good night.